Hi, John. Hi, Cameron. Okay. Oh, yeah, 1 minute too. Hi, Wayne. So, wasn't sure whether I was gonna skip next week because my parents are here next weekend, and I haven't seen them for over 3 years. So I think I'm not gonna do next Sunday. I apologize. Um, but I think I owe it to them to not do this. So I can go out with them. And I think it'll be the last night, I think. I'm not sure. So, hi, Maddie. So I'll put notice up for those who missed this. And but the week after will be Skype. Maybe I'll do a longer Skype. What about 3 Skypes? Because Skype goes so quickly, doesn't it? So the week after, I'll do 3 40-minute Skypes because they just fly. So I'll do that instead. So apologies, I'm not here next week, but I haven't had a week off since Christmas anyway, so I'm going to do it. I wasn't going to, but now I'm going to. So there we go. I've said it now. Okay. So what are we most concerned about? Are we most concerned about our living life, or are we most concerned about getting enlightened? What are we most concerned about? I was writing this morning and I was talking about how it's childish in some teachings to think that the living life, your life is not important. And it really is. The thing is that we try to live our life by the direction of what's on the outside. We're told what to think, what to wear, what to be, all those things. But I see that at the base of everything, there's only just what is. There's being, not a being or the being or my being, because they're just add-ons, aren't they? There's just being. I'm just here. I'm just being. That's what's at the base of it all. That's the ground. Can't find it through external influences. It can't be found through external influences because it already is. It just is. And what covers it up, or no, what not doesn't cover it up, but what distracts from it is, well, first of all, trying to find it, and secondly, the distractions of the external world. And the external world also means the conditions, the conditioning, the thought processes, the beliefs. This is all the external world. There's no separation in the external world. It's just one thing that happens all at once. That's what I see in my experience. And you always have to look at everything in your own experience. The problem is that we give away our power to those we think who know better. But nobody knows better. Nobody can say that what your being is wrong. You can't say that. You can't say that because being is just being. It just is. It's the basis of life. It's the one fundamental thing which has never changed, has never moved, has never gone anywhere. It just gets distracted from. And there's so many distractions in life to say, to just basically just distract us. And there's so much of it. It's freaking endless, Even our own mind can distract us. And it's not the mind that's the problem. It's the belief in what it's saying. The thoughts themselves are just, neither here nor there. It's like someone calling me, you're a, I don't know, an elf. I'll be like, well, actually, that'd be quite nice, actually. So someone saying, you're an ogre. They can say it all they want, and it'd just be laughable. But for some reason, when our minds say things, we seem to take heed of it. But those things in the mind are just the external world that has usually come through being told those things, or in comparison, or just being told by the world, one's peers, one's parents, television, the whole appearance of things. But it's the belief in those things that's the problem. So, if someone called me an ogre and I felt like I was a bit ogreish, I might be offended by that. I might be hurt and then start repeating, oh my God, I'm an ogre, I'm an ogre. What can I do about it? I need to be less ogre. I don't want people to see me as an ogre. But when you don't believe the external flails, that none of it can touch you. So we're always touched by this outside appearance because we allow it. We allow it. That's what we do. That's what we do. Because we're vulnerable to it. We haven't been told that actually the being is untouchable. The being is nameless. It's untouchable. It's everything. It's everything. And everything comes from there. First of all, there's being. Being was when we were a child. As we grew up, it never changed, that thing. Everything just gets added on to the construct of the body and the mind. So we're never told that there's the ground of it as being, and it can't be called names, it can't be dictated to. It's untouchable. So we live our lives from beliefs, and so we believe we have to live in a certain way, and we lose sight of actually the spontaneous creative life, whatever that looks like. And there's no right and wrong answer to that at all. Even if it's just sitting in a field looking at a flower, there's no right or wrong answer to it. It's what comes naturally from just being here. It comes naturally. And when we disengage of what the shoulds and the shouldn'ts and the could-ofs and would-ofs and all that sort of stuff, it's amazing and surprising what can emerge in life from this nameless well of is. The is the wellspring where everything comes from. But because we're so distracted, that whatever else comes from not that. It comes from the shoulds and the shouldn'ts and the coulds and the could-offs. What comes from being, the living life, the manifestation, is a choiceless thing, really. I can't choose to be a certain way. It just comes naturally from a clear ground. It just comes from what seems like nothing, But being is neither something or nothing. It's well, what is. It's what is, and that's um, well, it's just the case, isn't it? It's quite undeniable, really. Yeah, you can deny it all you like, but the fact is that we're sitting here. Whatever that means, I'm sitting here. Whatever that means, without the idea of what I should or shouldn't be. Hi, Jahara. Yes, my children live in that isness, that spontaneous creativity. Yes, choiceless for them, I can see. So that's what it's like for Lisa. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I just create what I create. I just do what I do. I have an idea about something, and the idea just doesn't come from what I should do to please somebody else, or what I should do because that's how the world will see me, and it just comes from don't know, it just comes out of nothing. It just comes out of nothing. It's well, the only thing that stops anybody from just living freely is bondage to ideas and beliefs. That's the only thing. There's nothing else. I might have to do things that maybe I prefer not to, like I don't know. Don't really like going to supermarkets, but I do occasionally. I kind of enjoy it once I'm there. It's okay, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about living that life where I hate the sound that constantly shrouding all over me. Yeah, that voice, the shoulds and the shouldn'ts, the what ifs, all that stuff. Shoulding, it never stops. Yeah, that's because we allow it. That's because we allow it. We believe it. We believe it. Why do we believe it? I mean, really, why would I believe that? I used to believe it. I did. I used to believe it. Well, life is this experience here in this place is pretty short and temporary. So why the hell should I live my life according to whatever anybody else thinks or wants? You live your life regardless of what other people think of you. Yes, totally. Totally. I had enough of that in my younger years. I'd had completely enough of it. Why should I live my life for what people think? I mean, when you think of it, really, it's mad, isn't it? It's understandable because that's how we've been conditioned to live. And we don't know what it feels like to live without it. But I tell you what, life just happens. You have an idea. The idea either takes form or it doesn't. And it's not based on what I should and shouldn't do. Oh, that's a question to Maddie. But it's the basis of belief. And I know in non-duality they say, oh, there's no one to believe or not believe, but we're intelligent. We're intelligent. It's like such a gaslight. I'm intelligent enough to see when something is a belief. Intelligent enough to see that. That's all it takes. All it takes is it's simple. And just being is so simple. It doesn't require anything. And as our friend Cameron here, nothing works. Nothing works. Because if you question a belief, it's not going to give you enlightenment. You're just going to see through the BS. That's all. And then it just always has been. But without all that, what I should do and shouldn't do with my life. It's more like, oh, I can do this, and oh, maybe I can do that. Oh, I'm gonna do this today. And like, oh, maybe I'll plan for that, and it just comes spontaneously. Life is lived more spontaneously. But when we're in the prison of distraction, and the mind is such a distraction, and the outside influences, which I include the mind in that, is a distraction from just simply just being here. And when you're just simply being here, you just but some beliefs serve me. I believe public schools indoctrinate children. That's not a belief, you know that. You don't that's knowledge. That's knowledge. That's your knowledge. That's not a belief. It's different. I have the knowledge that alcohol would get me pissed and make me feel sick. That's not a belief. I know that. I know that schools can be indoctrination centres. I don't have to believe that. You're an intelligent woman. You know that for yourself. Someone else might think differently, but that doesn't matter. To believe in something means that you don't know, but you know that. It's a good idea not to send your children to public schools. God, you've seen the stuff they teach them. I mean, it's completely useless, isn't it? Like camps, open prisons. Being able to see the difference between a belief and something you actually know, something you see to be true for you. It's like speaking your truth, whatever that is. It doesn't really matter if it's right or wrong. You can't help it anyway. You can't change it. You just can't. You can't decide on those things. I'm going to decide that I don't like this. It's just natural. It's the natural life. And I know all the non-duality gaslighting. Oh, there's no one to be natural. But that doesn't matter. We also have to live our lives, and we can do that intelligently. Question everything. Everything. And it feels natural, really natural, like not sending your children to school. You don't have to question that. It doesn't make you unhappy, you see. It doesn't make you unhappy to not send your children to school. It feels right. But it doesn't feel right when one beats oneself up for all the shoulds and the shouldn'ts. When something feels right, when something is natural and feels just natural, just naturally coming out from goodness knows where, there's no beating up of oneself then. There's no questioning of it. It doesn't need to be questioned. It's just the natural life. Does that make sense, Jahara? Cool. I mean, with all the shoulds and the shouldn'ts, and I know that you struggle with that, but you could just all you can do is your best. It really is. You can just do your best. Because then you beat yourself up for having shoulds and shouldn'ts, you see. It's like one thing on top of another. just simply see it for what it is. It's another form of indoctrination. The belief of how I should or shouldn't be is another form of indoctrination. Because is it true? Is it really true? Do we want to be a believer, an adherer, a sheep, a worshipper, a sycophant, or just be? Because the character, right? The character of each one is completely unique. And you never know what's going to come out of that character. I ever met two people who are alike, really alike? They're not, are they? It's amazing, all these complete individual characters. And yet it's all being. It all comes from being. Now the character is the natural expression of this physical form and everything to do with it. It's the natural expression. It just does what it does. And I'm always doing all sorts of things. I chop and change things all the time because I don't like to stand still. That's my character. I don't like to stand still too long. I don't even like to live in the one place too long. And not being able to travel has been like, not great for me. But it's okay. I'm not unhappy about it. But I like to move. I like new things. That's just my character. Some people don't. Some people like the same things. It's when it's natural and when you can enjoy life, the joy of life, the natural joy of life, which is not like, joy, bliss. It's just enjoyment, naturally, simply, whatever that is. We're always being corralled into what that means, but nobody knows what that means for each one. Nobody. And it's beautiful, and it's like that because you can't even pin yourself down. I can't pin down the character of Lisa. I have no idea what it is. I just know what I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy should and shouldn'ts. And I resist them. If they come from the outside, I resist them. They don't come from the inside anymore. They just might come from the outside, from other people or dictates or something. And I know I don't enjoy that. So I don't give it any time or any space. I was really investigating all this sort of stuff that was happening in the world. And I think it has its place, but I wasn't enjoying it anymore. It wasn't going anywhere. It's just just not enjoying it. So I stopped. I felt the pressure from friends and stuff, people that I was associating with to continue doing it, but I wasn't enjoying it. So I didn't. I stopped because I didn't enjoy it anymore. And what I don't enjoy, I don't do unless I have to, which isn't very much I have to do that I don't enjoy. So it's about, I don't know, very small amount. And live quite a blessed life. There are consequences to that as well. Because I choose not to earn a lot of money. Consequences, but that's okay. It's all right. Takes some. It's like you gotta go. It's like you have to go against the programming for that. We're very programmed to think what we should and shouldn't do. The fact is that there's just being. There's just being, and everything springs out of that. Even the conditioning, but also there's the intelligence. Is that if someone said to you, "You're unintelligent," you would know it not to be true, unless you believe you're unintelligent. But really deep down, you would know it not to be true. Because there's intelligence in life. It's intelligence. This is all very intelligent. The way it all holds together, the way the whole system holds together is intelligence. And the being, whatever that is also intelligence. So if someone said to you, "You're not intelligent," you would know it not to be true. But the intelligence can never get you to being. Being just is. I'm a human being. I'm a human who's being. I'm a being who's a human. That's just being. It's very simple. It's the most uncomplicated thing ever. And that's why you can't teach it. You can't put it as a program. You can't get to it as a program. I've been mulling over the word becoming. Becoming implies a wasness, which there clearly wasn't. Yeah, becoming. Becoming what? Becoming. You only become an appearance, a different appearance. It'd be more appearance stuff. And you could say, yeah, I want to become like a tattoo artist, say. That's different. It's like, oh, the idea, I feel like I want to become a tattoo artist. But that's not becoming, the being, becoming. It's two words, be and coming. It's like the coming of the being. The being is becoming, and you can't become being. Being is. There can only be is. Yes, there can only be is. You can't become what is. You can't become it because it already is. It's like trying to exist, trying to feel like I exist. You don't need to exist. You don't need to feel like you exist because you are. You already exist. You already are. There is only what is. But there's also, this living life, and it's good to enjoy that. It's good not to live under the, slings and arrows of the external appearance, because it will come. The slings and arrows never stop from this external appearance. They just don't ever stop until they don't affect me anymore, because they're just not interesting, they're not doing anything. They're not real. They're not real. Only my adherence to them makes them feel real. But apart from that, they're not real. Like these days, it seems like people are just so offended all the time. Offended. Who's that guy? Who's that comedian who talked? He did a sketch about being offended. It's an Australian guy. He said, "Well, I'm offended that you're offended." Oh, you can be arrested for offending people now, can't you? Outrageous. I'm offended by that. I think some Norwegian woman went to prison lately for offending somebody. Crazy. Imagine someone sending someone to prison for offending somebody. It's a bizarro world. It really is. People go to prison for offending people. Not for, like, taking their property or hurting them physically or, no, offending them by saying words. Childish. Well, I went back to the beginning, saying about someone called me an ogre. It would be up to me whether I found that offensive or not. I think it's still legal to offend in the US, is it? I don't know if it is here, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I think you can get into trouble here for offending somebody. Depends what the offence is, of course. But we're quite happy to offend ourselves, aren't we? We're quite happy to, to let the mind beat us up about, what I did wrong and use the wrong pronoun, you go to jail. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Imagine being offended because of that. Someone asked me on one of my lives once if I was transgendered. I should have got really offended. I'm offended. Ay. Fuckers. Oh. Yeah. Identify as a cat. Identify as free, so you can let me pass customs, please. Don't think that counts. The catalogue of freedoms, of identities. Identity is it's a made-up thing. An identity. It's like an identity card. We can have an internalized identity card. I'm a woman, and I'm, I don't know, What else? I'm uh, a white woman, kind of, Olivie. I'm a white woman. That's my identity. No, I'm called Lisa, and don't ever call me anything else because, I might get you arrested. It's all made up. I don't have an identity. I'm just sitting here. It's just what is. I'm just being here. There's no identity. There's no past. There's no future. There's no past Lisa and future Lisa. That's all made up. That's just identification. I'm identifying that I have a past. I identify that I have a future. And by God, I'm going to defend it. I'm going to defend it. I'm going to get offended if you don't acknowledge that identity. My gender, my skin, my name, it's all just doesn't mean anything. It's going to die anyway. It's of no consequence to anything. The only consequence, the only thing that interests me is freedom and enjoyment and love. And I don't mean like loving everybody, you can't love everybody. Just love. Just the good, the good. Not loving everybody. Oh my God, New Age concept. Not everybody's lovable. You don't need to love everybody. You have the people you love, and that's it. You love the people you love. This is an imposition that we have to love everybody. Don't mean anybody any harm. Don't want to harm anybody at all in any way. I don't need to love everybody. I'd have to meditate on it and self-flagellate myself into it, I'd have to take on the identity that I love everybody. We're all one, and I love everybody. And some people might feel that, and that was true for them, but it's certainly not true for me. But I don't mean anybody any harm. There's nothing in me that wants to do that at all. It's natural. This society has too much free time sitting around thinking. Yeah. on the Black Mirror. On the Black Mirror. Sitting around, looking at other people's opinions and plugging into what identity that ever suits one of them, in the moment. And you got to defend the identity that you associate with and get offended if someone comes at your identity that you associate with. Absolute nonsense. It's so, it's like, I'm a speaker. Imagine identifying as a speaker. I'm a speaker. No, you're not. How dare you? Doesn't mean anything. What means something? The only thing that has any value in my life is my enjoyment of life and my freedom. As the only thing of any real worth, and loving life. Loving life comes first every time. If I don't love life, if I don't love just being, this intelligence, whatever it is, then I can't love anything else properly. Too much to defend, too much is at stake. And it's just being, which all there is anyway. There's nothing at stake. How do you love life? By putting that first before being offended by something or identifying with something or or being pressurized by something or having to comply to something. That's how. Not by going, oh, life, I love you, and giving it a hug. By putting that first, putting freedom and the enjoyment of my life before everything else. I don't mean the enjoyment as like self-centered enjoyment of like, oh, I don't give a fuck, I'm just going to get pissed and be horrible to people. And I don't mean that. I just mean the freedom, the natural freedom of just being and just letting everything flow from that. Not living a contrived life, contrived by beliefs and conditioning and all the things that make me unhappy. That's how I love life, by putting that before what made me unhappy. So if something's not making me, if I'm not enjoying something anymore, I let it go. I let it go. And that's the end of it. That's how I love life. I let go of that I don't enjoy. It's very simple. Yeah, it is beautiful. It is beautiful. Because life is beautiful. What a miraculous thing to just life happening. I mean, how beautiful. What a miracle. Like when, someone has a baby, they say, oh, it's a miracle, it's beautiful baby, it's such a miracle, the miracle of life. And somehow it's lost in growing up, and it happens to everybody. It's the place we live in, it happens to everybody, but it's as we grow up, we feel that something's off. Something's off. And it's the abandonment of the beauty of life. It's the what covered it, what got distracted the mind and the emotions, the conditioning, the expectations that we had to fulfill in order to be liked and loved and accepted. Simplicity. Yeah, I mean, simplicity. Just simply being, or just being is the most simple thing, because you don't have to do anything. You can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about being. It's not going anywhere. It's not doing anything. That's why we love little furry animals. The boredom. So, that's really funny. The boredom of following dead people's ideas. Yeah. When we're literally the intelligence. The being is the intelligence. It's full of ideas. Even if the idea is to like just stroke my cat all day or my dog all day. The freedom of just being, whatever comes out of it, because we're physical and we do stuff, whatever it is, is irrelevant. We like to do stuff. We forget then when your life is threatened or your child's life is threatened, then you remember how miraculous the simplicity is. Yeah, someone's threatened your life, you'll remember what you love the most. You'll quickly remember. This morning, complete silence, listening to the birds, just really easy, no striving. Yeah, easy. Just listening to the birds, just going about your day, eating a nice meal. You know, the simplicity of life. Even if you've got a tough job, you just still have the simplicity of just doing your job. And if you don't like your job, if you hate your job, then get another job. You know? I don't like working for other people, so I don't do that. And I take what comes with it. You know? But it always is. It always is. Whatever happens in the physical life, in my physical life, it's always it always is. It's always okay. Oh no, I'll go broke. We believe the stories. Oh no. Yeah. Well, I've lived here for 5 years without having a job in Spain. I mean, I get very little money from PATRON. By the time they've taken their cut, I have not many people on it. Because I'm not very good at putting myself out there. I sell the odd painting. I just don't know how I get by. I just don't know how it happens. And yet I'm clean and fed and breathing and all the physical needs are met. And somehow it just happens. Somehow it just happens. I don't worry about it. It'd be quite nice to have some more money, but I just don't have it. So it is what it is. It is what it is. And I'm never completely broke. Not completely. Not in debt. Never in debt. My dad is a very sort of classic Belfast working man, you know, he's like a real solid, sort of old-fashioned guy, you know, and he always used to say to me, Lisa, whatever you do, don't get in debt. Don't get in debt. And it just somehow went into me, so I've never got myself in debt. Uh, you know, he grew up in Belfast during the Troubles. No shoes, no money, no food. He's just a steal coal. You know what? And he never, ever complained about it. Never, ever complained about it. Never whinged or moaned or... Yeah, I only know about these things because I've like tried to get his story out of him. You know, I'm interested in his history. You know, interesting life he had. I never complained. Angela's Ashes. Oh yeah, I saw that film years ago. Yeah, like that, like broke, like proper broke. There was 11 of them, I think, in a one-bedroom house. Imagine Catholics, no shoes, beaten up daily by nuns, beaten up, beaten up all the time by British soldiers. You imagine, never a complaint. Yeah. But you know, So many people like to confirm their sad, sad story by going over it and over it, and then like ingraining the beliefs in their story. I'm going to tell it and tell it, and we're all going to get together. We're all going to be nice and cozy together in our stories and get some sympathy and some. We compound it, we can compound it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't express something in order to get it out of the system, but the compounding of telling it over and over and over again just compounds that belief. I'm a this person, I'm a that person, I this and that. It goes on and on and on. I know because I did it before I met Barry. I did it. I used to really believe in my sad story. I told it and I cried about it and I made a big deal out of it. And it was just a belief. It was just a belief. Sure, stuff happened, but it's gone. It's gone. It's over. It's like if I think of anything that's like could maybe traumatize someone over the last several years. I got a death threat because I do this. And, but that came and went. But I could have taken that on board and made it into something. I could have done it. That's what we do. We get these little things, or big things, depending, big things happen. And we make them our story, make them our identity. That becomes my identity. And I live in that identity. We get brought up in a certain way, say as a Catholic, like my dad, and he broke that identity. He became an ex-Catholic and had a lot of conditioning to undo. Don't know how he did it because he's like, not like us. Let's put it that way. I don't know how he did it, but anyway. So we get brought up in a certain way, and it becomes a conditioning, and it becomes an identity. But the identity is a fake. It's a fake construct that we give so much belief in and credence to, and that's us, that's me, that's how I feel, that's my pain, and it's real and it's true. But really all that's happening is I'm just sitting in a room and there's just being. There's just being. And there's this thing, but it's not true because I'm just sitting here. Life is happening and it's absolutely miraculous and phenomenal and crazy. Crazy. It's wilder than I think that any of us can imagine. The fact that it is wild enough, but if you strip away all the Darwinian, which incidentally, I found that Darwin actually went back on his theory, but someone else took his theory and associated it with Darwin. But Darwin actually destroyed his own theory. They call it Darwin's theory, but it's Darwin's theory before he destroyed it. I thought that was interesting. So we live in this Darwin's theory, which he destroyed, and the whole world lives in Darwin's theory. Isn't that wild? We live in the idea that that time is real. There's another one. But there's no experience of time. There's just the thought process, there's time. There's no experience of evolution because there's only here. There's only what is. We don't experience evolution. It's just a belief. Like if you said to people, "How did the universe start?" They'd all say, maybe the odd person wouldn't, maybe some religious people wouldn't, but most people would say the Big Bang. Everybody knows the Big Bang is a theory, but they all think it's the truth. So if you strip away all these theories and all these beliefs of what life actually is, it's wild, unhinged, boundless, nameless, fantastic. There's this wildness of life which has no attachment really in the experience of it to any theories of Big Bang, to any Darwinian theory, to any science. Science is just theory that changes through, when it changes, it changes. There's no longer science. What's science now? It won't be science in 10 years. It'll be seen as nonsense. If you strip away all these things, all that's left is what always is life happening, being happening, is what is, just is, just is. Is that not wild? And yet in this world we've been taught to live in this little narrow way of being, very constrained. But when you look at how it actually is, you look at how it actually is, just being here. What is it to be here without all these constraints? Without all the theories about evolution or even myself, is the wildness of life, the miracle of life. I know what the mind does. It goes, yeah, then it goes back into this. We have no evidence of theories, but still we believe it, even though those people are long dead. Exactly. Exactly. And they're called a theory. The theory of evolution. It's not even like the fact of evolution or the Big Bang fact. It's called a theory. Oh gosh, seems irresponsible. But it's not, is it? Because you're just going to do what you do anyway. Irresponsibility is a construct. You're going to do what you're going to do anyway. You're going to home ed your children. You're going to eat a certain diet. You're going to be interested in certain things. The idea that I'm irresponsible is just an idea. Not having irresponsibility as a belief going on changes nothing, except for you don't feel responsible for doing what you're doing anyway. That's the only difference. That seems like there's a conditioning there that you have to be responsible. But I've spoken enough times to know that you're a good person anyway. Most people are good people. They don't want to steal from people or go out and punch them in the face or do anything like that. You just do what you do, but without the guilt. feeling irresponsible, feeling that the fear of irresponsibility is guilt. I will be guilty if I let go of my need to be responsible. I will feel guilty. But not having those things anymore is not going to change what your character, your nature, your nature of what you enjoy, of what you love. That doesn't change. You just be free of the guilt of having to be responsible for goodness knows what. There's no guilt in being. It just is simple and beautiful. It'll be my fault if something goes wrong, right? Things are going to go wrong. We're all going to die, okay? It's all going to go wrong eventually. His body will get sick or have an accident or I don't know, do something. Not on purpose. Maybe I'll accidentally drop a banana skin and someone will slip on it and break their neck. I would very much try not to do that, of course. But if I went around like worrying about that sort of thing, I'd be living in hell. That's hell. Being responsible for the appearance. You can't be responsible for the appearance. You can't be responsible if you're. My husband is caught up with who's to blame. Drives me nuts. Yeah, there's no one to blame. There's no one to blame. Yeah, well, that doesn't help. Maybe we need to ask him to stop. Say, please don't talk to me about blaming. Go talk to your workmates about it or something. Yeah, because it sounds like you feel responsible for everything. For everything. You can't help it if your cooker stops working, or your car stops working, or you trip up on my banana skin. You can't control the appearance. You can't control the manifestation. It's not possible. It's just pointless. You're going to do your best not to walk into a door. You're going to do your best to not let your kids run across the road. Oops. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to go. Anything before I go? I've run over a bit because I'm going out to get an Indian with Steve. So I'm going to go in a minute. So I'm not going to be here next week. But I'll the week after I'll do 3 Skypes. I'll make up for it by doing an extra. I do enjoy the Skypes as well. I hope you enjoyed the talk. You're gonna get an Indian. Yeah, I'm gonna get an Indian. Oh, I love Indian food. Yeah, well, thank you everyone for joining in and being here. And I won't see you next week, but I will see you the week after. All right. Lots of love. Bye.